Hey, good evening. My name is Daquan Mitchell. I'll be doing a little short piece on untangling the history of Christmas lights. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, my sources are from the Smithsonian Magazine, December 2016, by Jamie Malinowski. Also by Untangling the History of Christmas Lights by Ms. Selenia, published on Saturday, November 26, 2016 at 4 p.m. Okay, now we all know Christmas time is a time to be with family. It's a time to open presents. It's the time of the year where you look forward to. The kids look forward to Santa, which the parents, you already know, they are Santa. But they don't know that. And it's the time of the year, it's joyous. It's joyous, it's refreshing. It's a whole history behind Christmas. We're not gonna get into that part. What I want to talk to y'all about is Christmas lights. Everybody thinking, what's so big about Christmas lights? The reason why I'm doing this piece, cause I don't even know the history of Christmas lights. You feel me? Christmas lights it adds a whole nother perspective on decoration. And you can, they have, these little Christmas light shows, in Charleston. That's the one I go to, Charleston, South Carolina, when I do go with family. And you'd be surprised, be amazed of the things you can do with so many different colors of Christmas lights, putting them around the house, in the yard, buying little ornaments or, little things like that. Throw some Christmas lights on it. Add a whole nother view to your house, to your yard, to your property. Ever wonder, where they originated from? Where Christmas lights? Who thought of it? You know, the history behind it. That's what we're gonna talk about today. The history behind Christmas lights. I'm gonna start off with a little piece. It said the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend is the perfect time to get out the Christmas decorations and put up the colored lights that illuminate the dark winter nights. Those beautiful strips of electric lights replaced candles. Okay, it says right there, candles were the first quote unquote Christmas lights. Okay, but it didn't last long. It came only in one color. Now you might be asking me what that one color is. I think we already all know what that one color is. Flame color, of course, if it's a candle. And were extremely dangerous. Of course, it's fire. Of course. The dawn of electric Christmas lights had a lot to do with one, Thomas Edison, as you might already guess, but even more with Edward Hibbard Johnson, who was the first to use Christmas lights. Hmm, interesting. Thomas Edison and Edward Johnson. Christmas lights. So, it goes on to say, now, in 1871, Johnson hired Edison, then at the time being 24 years old, was an inventor, and he was a consultant for the Atomic Telegraph Company. Okay? In 6 weeks, he had gone through the books, written a volume of abstracts, and made 2,000 experiments and produced a single solution. Now it says here, so impressed was Johnson that when Edison left to start a new company, he followed, quickly making himself useful, turning Edison's brainstorms into cash. Okay? It says here, Edison patented The light bulb in 1880, its exact value was hard to gauge because widespread electrification was still decades away. But Johnson and Edison and others invested $35,000 to form the Edison Lamp Company to sell the bulbs. Okay? Now, to get furthermore, the light bulbs, let's touch on some things. Before long, Johnson had a bright idea. We tend to think Christmas season traditions as ancient, but most of them are rather recent, born in the 19th century. So you would think Christmas lights dated far back. I mean, but if you think about electricity, it's not that far. A visit from St. Nicholas, and this is just a couple of things to throw in some dates along with this. A Visit from St. Nicholas was published in 1823. A Christmas Carol in 1843. Thomas Nast's drawings of Jolly Santa Claus debuted in 1862. Meanwhile, in 1841, Queen Victoria's husband, Albert, had introduced Britain to the Teutonic Tannenbaum, the Christmas tree. Then the idea spread. And this is all leading up to the creation of Christmas lights. We're going to get to that. In the States, President Franklin Pierce put one up at the White House in 1856. And by the 1870s, fresh cut trees were being sold at Washington Square Park and pretty ornaments at Macy's. But what really made a tree a Christmas tree were the candles. Back to the candles. While flickering flames were festive, they were also a fire hazard, which we stated previously. Over at the Edison shop, Johnson saw an opportunity. Setting up a tree by the street side window of his parlor, Johnson hand-wired 80 red, white, and blue light bulbs and strung them together around it and placed the trunk of a revolving pedestal, all powered by a generator. So you got to think. Now, all before, the little portion I just read about the 80 light bulbs, red, white, and blue, you had candle flames. You can see how that's dangerous. But one man just had the bright idea. One day, going to string up these mini light bulbs on the string, throw them on a tree, put it on the pedestal, and it's powered by a generator. Okay? At that time, he called a reporter. At the rear of the beautiful parlors was a large Christmas tree presenting a most picturesque and uncanny aspect, wrote W.A. Crowfoot, a veteran writer for the Detroit Post and Tribune. It was brilliantly lighted with 80 lights and all encased in these dainty glass eggs and about equally divided between white, red, and blue. Now, thinking how I'm thinking, Mr. Johnson here, pretty patriotic. But at the same time, if you think about the light bulbs that we use for our Christmas tree today, little bulbs, a little smaller than glass. Kind of sort of egg-shaped, I'm pretty sure, I know for sure, it's not as big as what they were back in the day, which, technology has modified a whole lot of things, making things smaller, making things brighter, making things smarter. One can hardly imagine anything prettier. The lights drew a crowd as passerby stopped to peer at the glowing marvel. Now this is something that wasn't even released. This is something that he just thought of on a dime. the first of its kind. It went from fiery flames to these light bulbs on the tree, different colors. Add a whole different scenery, a whole different feel, a whole different spark, a whole different texture. One might think, wow, like that's genius. At that time, where not everybody had electricity in their house, and now you have somebody coming up with these little mini light bulbs on the Christmas tree. A time of the year that's already near and dear to people's hearts. Now you just adding something a little more festive and creative. Okay? It says again, the lights drew a crowd as passerby stopped to peer at the glowing marvel. Johnson turned his stunt into a tradition. He also pioneered the practice of doing more each year. An 1884 New York Times article counted 120 bulbs on his dazzling tree. So from the first year, it was only 80. And now as time goes by, you begin to progress, you begin to modify, it begins to become more common, you add more lights. Now you see, instead of just lighting up your Christmas tree, nowadays you got it around the Christmas tree, you got it outside the house, you got it on, like I said, all your little ornaments in your yard. And even now, it went from the Christmas tree lights, and now you have the little projectors that makes your whole house glow. It's amazing how technology and time has passed so to where it's gone from 80 little bulbs, and not every household had electricity, to now having the projector lights. Just adds a whole nother feel to the festive times. So my name is Daquan Mitchell, and this was my take on untangling the history behind Christmas lights. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you were informed. Thank you.